So the tools are complete. Also at the same time I painted that little block of wood to use that for the jack, to set the jack on the ground. So what I'm going to move on to next is the rack of jerry cans. I'm going to be painting some of these in grey and some in sand. One of them I've given a slightly darker base coat. That's going to be sand coloured as well, but with a darker base coat it means it'll look slightly different from the rest of them. So let's start with some German grey. I think I'll do this one on the outside as German grey. I'm going to push the shade right over so it directly touches the next jerry can. I don't want a light colour in that space between the two, I'd rather have a dark colour. You'll notice there's no sculpting on the sides of the jerry cans. So I will need to create the shape that's synonymous with a jerry can. See if I've got one handy. You've got that shape on the sides, on the front and the back, and then the side is a split. So I think I will do another one. I'm just going to make it the one beside it. Tidy up that bit. And this bar that's holding them in place, I'll be tidying that up later in the process. So that's the German grey in place. Now for the sand coloured jerry cans, I'm going back to the Africa Core highlight. And I'm going to start, hopefully you can see this, it's a bit, it's not a strong contrast, hopefully it's going to come across okay. I'm going to create the typical raised panel. In the middle of the jerry can. And then I need to be creating the shade around that. Hopefully that's visible there, but it'll be more visible when the highlight's in place. And then I'm leaving just a little bit of shadow in here for the handle. Paint across the top. paint the cap and a little bit around the front and the side beside the cap. Do that for all three of the sand coloured ones. Now the paint was a bit wet, it's not gone on well, so I'm going to draw it off. Leave it a minute. And then I'm not really holding this in the best angle for myself. But there I've created a bit of a shadow running down the spine, so to speak, of the jerry can. Well, what I'll do is I'll move on to the highlight next, because I'm going to be repeating this process with the grey, so no need to show that. It'll be the same process, just different colours. Cast it out, outside edge, and then just work around the shadow. Oh, that's the wrong colour. Always make sure you're using the right colour. Right, start again. It's got to be quite wet, this paint, because there's really small lines. And some highlight across the top. And then try and accentuate this split. And the bottom. So I'll repeat that process with the grey, and then I'll be painting some dark grey around this, knock it up a little with the exact same highlight I've just been using, so it looks like a piece of metal jury rigged for battlefield use. Looks a bit knocked about, and that will be the jerry cans. So that's the jerry can rack finished. The bar holding it in place, once I'd knocked it up a bit, I used a very, very slight wash of this base colour just to change the tone of the colour from the jerry cans in the tank. I'm going to be painting the exhaust next. Let me see. Hopefully you can see. Oh, I'm in the wrong place. Hopefully you can see there, that's what I'm after. I've used the same on the tracks. You could vary it because they would rust differently, but I don't feel any need to vary it in this case. I'll just use the same across them all. So the base colour is Panzer Aces Dark Rust, and then the main colour is Light Rust Panzer Aces again, with some very small amounts of yellow rust. So I'll put the base colour on already. Now when putting this on, I'm basically just painting shapes, you know, blobs and stripes, and trying to be irregular. Get these little pipes there. I want to leave the dark centre on the end of the exhausts. And then it's blobs and lines and filling in around. And then some light rust, and you've got to be really careful with this because it's a real popping colour. You'll really see it. So just around the exhausts, right around. A couple of bits on these pipes, and then just to try and accentuate dark against light. I'm not using it as an edge highlight. That's not what it's for. And it's quick, simple and easy as that to get a nice, bright, eye-catching, rusty look. So having completed all the various bits of stowage and tools, I'm now going to do a bit more enamel work. Earlier I put a brown wash around the wheel hubs, the larger pieces of the suspension, idler wheels and such likes. I just wanted that to be a bit darker to stand out a bit more against the hull, and I think it definitely helps. And another bit of enamel work that I'm going to do just now is just a little bit of streaking just across flat panels, down the front of the hull, coming back from the hinges on those storage bins and so on. It's a nice feature, nice bit of weathering. It's something that's done very selectively, as you'll see. I don't put like streaking products where you put lines all the way along and then draw them all down. That will just darken the whole thing down. I just want to make some nice little weathering accents. So I'm using an enamel wash for this, and I've got some thinner to hand. The paint I've taken from this, I've mixed it up, and then the paint that was on the brush from the bottom of it, that's what I'm using because it's nice and thick, because I want a degree of control over what I'm doing. So I'm going to paint these lines in. I'm varying the length of the lines. I'm going to clean that brush off. And the brush is a little bit damp. It's not clean enough. Just take that off. Start again. And there you can see I've softened the line, drawn it out a little bit. There, and that's a nice consistency. Helps accentuate the colour modulation as well. And then these lifting hooks are a good point to draw some streaking from. And then going on to these hinges, similar process, but you don't want to be going crazy. I don't want line, line, line. First of all, it's going to be too symmetrical, going to look like a grid, and we don't want that. just toughen that line up a touch, and that's actually okay the way that's worked, just adding that little dart bit on the top, and that's enough. Don't need any more than that. Clean the brush off a bit. Let's go to the hull. There's a slope to that front section, so I can put some there, and then move along. Got to try and keep them nice and vertical. And then on this hatch, perhaps down there. And then on the fenders, just going to put one streak on each one. And then coming down from these toe hooks. Right, and then I'll go to the back in a minute, but let's just work these so the brush is damp. Not damp enough. But too damp is just going to turn it into a little bit of a wash, so you've got to be careful. You can pull up the way, down the way, depending on where the paint is moving and where you want it to sit. Just kind of try and keep your efforts going in nice straight lines. And your brush is going to be picking up enamel as you're doing this. It means you can add little soft little lines on, but just remember you're going to have to clean your brush. Clean your brush as you go. And then in the back, same idea again, except it's really going to be on these fenders at the back. Maybe just a little bit here, a little bit here. So, a couple of minutes work gets the surface looking streaky but not looking totally dominated by the effect. So next up I've got to consider how I'm going to finish these, because I think they've got quite a bit of stowage on the go, but a tank without any tarpaulins just doesn't look right. So I think it's time for some green stuff work next. Right, on to some green stuff for bedrolls and tarps and so on. I typically do this in 2 stages. I'll make the basic shape with some folds in it, and I'll leave it to dry before coming back to the next day and putting a sheet over it to make it look like the top of the bundle. And you can add a lot more animation to it at that point, you know, with loose bits of sheet and so on. And I typically at this stage place an indentation that will accept the rope or strap. I'm just using a knife for this, and you can see I've put some indentations in there for folds, and that will help it come to life. and help with your painting. So here I've just got a roll of green stuff, so I'm going to first of all give it an open edge, give it the impression of some rolled up folds. Just open that up a touch, and once again little indentations to accept the straps. Because the straps would dig into the bundle as opposed to just sit on top. And it is as simple as that for the initial stages. Same again. So I'm just going to repeat that over everything. Next time I come back to it, it will be when I'm ready to put the detail on top. So I'll leave that to dry and work on the rest just now. Now, the air recognition flag that I want to make, I just rolled out some green stuff on a flat surface, and then it's just a question of making it appear to be pulling towards the corners. It's going to be tied down on, and it really was as simple as that. A little bit of work to just have it look as though it's flapping around perhaps in the wind. And then tomorrow when it's dry, I'm just going to put tiny bits of green stuff to show little tie downs. And you can have lots of fun with all these little touches. And they'll add something meaningful, as well as give you some hobby fun, you know, messing about. So the green stuff has set overnight. I've now rolled a piece on my ceramic lid, and I'm going to cut it to size and then it's a little bit squint. Doesn't matter if it doesn't have to be exactly precise, but it all helps if you can just spend a bit of time getting it looking okay. Right, so I've peeled it off. Oops. There's some folds in it, but that's actually fine because it's a piece of fabric. Well, it's supposed to be a piece of fabric. Now, always for the tricky bit, when you're dealing with green stuff, I want to tuck it in. As tight as I can to that edge, and then roll it over. At this point, I want to find those grooves that I put in the original shape. work the edges a bit, and then you can also just lift these edges up a touch. And this piece is now ready for the straps. Now to do the straps, here's a little off cut from earlier. So, really thin piece. And just try to get it on top. Got to come off. Now you don't have to worry too much about preserving the shape of this piece, as you can shape it on the bedroll itself. Push it in and then carefully cut it off. You've got to be especially careful as this is a plastic kit. And you can straighten up that edge. Tuck it in. Bend it round. You have to remember that the sheet that you've put this onto is still very soft, so just be careful. Now I'm also going to do a little bit of work here. I want there to be an upper and a lower piece of strap. Just want to try and push a little tab over, and then this is really fine detail that you don't really have to do, but you know, whilst you're here you might as well. Just a very fine piece of green stuff. And you've got a buckle. Oops. Off you go. Oh, I'm picking up little scraps of paint on the way. That's not very good. Just one moment, see if I can find a pin. And once again, this is another little tiny bit of detail that you don't need to do, but whilst we're here, And then you've got a nice looking bedroll with a nice looking strap over the top. And then we have the flag, which we want to make tie downs for. So I've once again taken, I want to try and cut these to length actually, as close as possible. These aren't going to be straps, they're going to be little pieces of rope. Of course, green stuff is sticky when you don't want it to be, and it isn't sticky when you do. As we can see here. So I think it's probably best to have this going off to that grab handle there. And by putting on just these little bits of rope, it explains how the flag's staying on top. It kind of explains that to the eye. So once again, it's another little bit of detail that you don't have to do, but it helps if you do. I'll just tie that in there. And I'll just do the same on the other side. And that'll help finish off that flag. You can also put little marks on these, just try and give it that texture of rope. So I've got another one to do. The rest of them I have done some work. I really just have to do straps on them, and that will be the green stuff finished. So we're getting very close to finishing the overall box set. And next, the main focus is going to be on figures, crew, such like, and basing. So I have finished the tarps, bedrolls, such like on the tanks, and I've finished the crews for the tanks and the guns. And you can see there that adds just a nice bit of colour and character to the tank. Now I've painted them in the same way as I've painted the crew, the same style, with one difference. Normally I paint everything with German camo dark brown. Oh, excuse me, I'm in the wrong place. German camo dark brown. And then I put two colours on top. For the uniform, for instance, it's dark mud and green grey, not to be confused with grey green. And I'm going to show you that on another one of these in a minute. I've used the same for the tunics for the Panzer crew. So it's basically a shade colour, then in this case dark mud with a small highlight of green grey. And I've carried the same process across all the various areas. I've used different colours, like the cap for instance is a base coat of green grey, and let me see, Panzer Aces Splinter Camo base, excuse me, as the highlight colour, but it's the same shade colour. Any areas that are going to be grey, I'm going to undercoat them with black, because grey does not sit well on top of the brown shade. Now the difference with the baggage on the tanks is I used an intermediate coat. For instance, where the main base colour was green grey, I used track primer. Then that's over the German camo brown. So it was German camo brown, green grey, German camo brown, track primer, green grey is the main coat, and Splinter Camo as a highlight. And then these other colours here, I was using dark mud as the main colour, so I used olive drab as a sort of the intermediate shade coat, and that gives it a less of a stark finish. That I don't like seeing that on the vehicles, but I find it very good for picking out detail on the infantry. So I've done quite a bit of work on this guy already. As you can see, the tunic's still to be finished, and that'll be my starting point. If I can keep the guy in the middle, this is always a tricky bit for me. So I've made a start with dark mud. I place my guys onto the small bases. I find it's the easiest way for me to manoeuvre the figure around. Allows a nice steady grip. In some cases, for instance here, I shall be leaving the figure on the sprue till it's finished, cut it off and then tidy it up as required. But I know you guys want to see paint going on to figures, so I'll shut up and do some painting. I may go quiet, but that's just because I'm not breathing. So I'm just going to find that spot again. Going to try and get some colour in between that seam in the pockets. And then for the pockets I paint a line across the top to match the shape, and then 3 lines down. And then a little line underneath. Hope I'm pointing this in the right direction for you folks. I shall try turning around. So a line across the top to match the shape, and then 1, 2, 3 to make the shape for the pocket. And the collars, just carefully pick that out, pick out that seam, and then these pockets are going to be the same idea again. Now that one's a bit tight into the arm, so I'm only going to do 2 lines down, as is that one actually. But 2 lines down is sufficient. And then just remember to get underneath there, you don't want to be leaving a great deal off the shade colour. It's there for shapes, not to dominate. You can see there I have created some folds. Here there is a fold that I can follow. I need to put a little bit in here just to reduce the impact of that shade. Then let's go around to the back. Need a bit under the arm. Collar's done already, but under the collar I feel. Freshen up the brush a bit. And then on, excuse me, I'm wandering out of shot folks, sorry about this. You can see I'm painting a series of lines. And then I'm joining them up. And now you've got your folds. And just make sure it makes sense to the front. Right, onto the other arm. Let's see. Don't want to do too many, or it ends up looking like stripes as opposed to folds. Join it up. Pay attention to underneath. And that's the base coat done. Let's put these two side by side just now. I should point out when I'm videoing this, the screen I'm watching is in reverse. But hopefully you can see the difference between the highlighted and the non-highlighted tunic in that shot. So, highlighting is green grey. And this is where I need my just about invisible brush. Paint's got to be nice and wet here but not too fluid. So let's give that a line. Try to keep it between the base coat and the shade area. So the pockets, for instance, let's make sure I can see that, the pockets. I'm putting the shade on the bottom, not on the top. Same idea here. Excuse me, I'll get that brush out of shot. My hands are a bit shaky because I've just finished exercising. Not the best preparation. And then the same again for these pockets. Just 2 lines down. Tiny little bit underneath. Brush needs a bit of a refresh. Now I'm going to take this line on the top of the collar and bring it down onto that seam. And then just to accentuate these folds and the cuff, I would normally move the figure around in my hand to get the best direction of approach, but I want to try and keep this in shot as much as possible. So there's a shade line in there, so I just want to accentuate that. It's going a bit wonky because I'm trying to paint around a corner, and then here, and here, and here. Then let me see the collar. A little bit under the arm. And just try to catch those folds. And that's basically it. That's just the same process repeated with different colours across all the various areas. The boots have just got a little black, little German grey highlight. The trousers, incidentally, are light mud, Panzerace's light mud, with a highlight of deck tan, but to be honest, I think I'm going to be looking for a different highlight if I carry on with this colour palette. And I probably will look for a lighter green. I originally thought about doing them grey green, but it looks quite bright across the whole uniform. But there you go. These are now ready to get, oh, he needs a bit of work, but they're basically ready to go on the bases. So we're getting very close to getting finished. So here we have the finished box set. all ready to go. I'm quite happy with the colour palette and the way it turned out on these guys. Using a new palette's always a bit risky, and I had to backtrack a bit as I went. But I really like the look, and it's given us a strong but subtle modulation as well. Let's have a look at the 88s. Now you can see I've put a tank symbol. I got that off an old Stuka decal sheet. So I've put that on and then marked down some lines for tank kills as opposed to painting tank kill rings on the barrels. It's a very nice sculpting. I really like it. I can try and get it into the light a bit. Now the shells and the crates, I actually glued all them together before I painted them and then put them all in one place. I'd rather do that than have them scattered all over the base. The crew are more likely to work from the one point, and it made painting them a lot easier as well. The basic material is Vallejo clear gel. Jello Denso, I think the name on the tub. Is a great big tub. Basically put that on fairly smooth and then dipped it into Army Painter Snow, which is lots of really round white pellets. Once they dried in the gel, they're very, very firmly set. I painted them, let me think, dark sand, and then washed them with a sand wash, and the effect it's really quite good. You see, it's really grainy, quite good in the scale. And then a couple of bits and pieces, some fluff and some little stones to finish them off. Now hopefully you can see the kind of modulation and scratching and streaking that can be achieved, and it helps make what is basically a sand coloured tank interesting and full of character. There is a lot of work in it, no doubt about it, but it's hopefully seeing what I've done will help you approach how you're going to do it if you want to have the same battle damaged look. And then the Panzer IVs, similar look can be seen on them. I do like this Panzer IV model. You can see the green stuff as well. I think that adds quite a nice bit to it. This is my favourite one though. It's just something about the proportions of this short barreled 75 that I really like. But there you go, that's the beginnings of what I think will be a very attractive, very attractive Africa Corps force. And altogether, some great kits, perfect for wargaming, and as I said, a lot of work but really enjoyable, especially when you can see the finished result.